You want to intro it? Okay. Mike.
Hey, good morning. 8:15 a.m. on the clock right now, and yes, of course, every Friday we've got Gunaprasath, the man, the property guru, and yeah, he's feeling a bit iffy today, if you know what I mean.
A
Hey,
little
good
bit
morning.
under the weather, I'm assuming.
Let's see how he sounds like then.
Good morning.
No, he sounds alright. He sounds alright.
I'm assuming you got a little bit wet under the rain, or
I don't know how this happened.
it's probably the weather.
It's probably the weather,
probably the
but
weather.
there might be some sniffles and there might be some coughs during the show today, so please don't mind me.
No,
It's
he still sounds like Guna,
Yeah.
if you ask me. He still sounds like Guna.
The show still must go on.
Yes, so anyway, Guna, what are we talking about today?
Well, I'm sure many listening into the show today may be able to relate with today's segment. Yeah, have you by any chance rented your apartment or home to a nice, respectable-looking tenant with a good professional job, such as a lawyer or maybe a teacher or someone really professional? Yeah, the first few months of the tenancy goes like clockwork, and then suddenly they become the tenant from hell, right? He may not have tiny horns on his head or the number 666 on his scalp,
Wow.
nor is he afraid to enter places of worship.
Right.
He may, in fact, be able to spout religious quotes, passages just to impress and deceive you into believing just how honest and reliable he is. After first meeting him, you might even wish your child could be just like him.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Guna, you make me scared of if I ever own a property to actually rent it out to someone, man.
Well, to be honest,
Oh yeah, there are people like that. Yes, I
There
understand.
are, there
Yes.
are.
And
you
you
know,
never it's the least expected, right?
least expected.
Right.
You know, some time back, I recall reading an article in one of our local dailies. The article mentioned some stuff that that unruly tenants do when they are evicted.
Uh-oh.
You know, sinks and toilet bowls filled with cement.
What?
You know, walls broken by sledgehammers, damaged furniture and front doors adorned by with red paint.
Right.
You know, so all this happens. You know, and it's happened in our own soil.
Right.
You know, now this seems extreme even for nightmare tenants. To be honest, I know a landlord, a personal friend of mine, who has been scared of renting their property indefinitely due to such antics like this.
Right.
You know, cement in the toilet bowls. Can you imagine?
I can see why he's scared to actually get new tenants. Now.
Yeah, he had cement in his toilet bowl.
Right.
You know, and the plumbing work after which cost a bomb.
Oh man.
Yeah. So today's segment, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what do you do if you have a tenant like
Right.
this?
Dealing with bad
So
tenants.
basically,
Yeah.
we're talking about bad tenants. No.
The tenant from hell,
Yeah.
right? And I think my voice suits the segment today as well.
it brings in with the vibe.
Right, starting point for avoiding bad tenants.
Okay.
The starting point to avoid dodgy tenants is to ensure that you reference them thoroughly to help try and filter them out. Right? Don't just go on the tenant's appearance. This can be misleading.
Okay.
Make sure you ask the right questions and don't accept any convenient answers.
Okay.
All right. Always try and get to understand the tenant's backstory and motivations. If you start asking difficult questions, then many scammers will be scared off from the start.
Right.
Right. One trick of mine given to me by a real estate agent friend was to insist on a tenant's previous bank statements. That way you can immediately get a feel of the tenant's finances.
Okay.
Does it show a salary? Can you see their rent payments going out regularly? Are they perpetually overdrawn?
Right. So is this legal though to ask for the?
It's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
I wouldn't say it's legal, but it's not illegal.
Oh,
Right.
right. Okay.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Remember, the cost of clearing up the mess left by tenants from hell can be quite considerable. Right? And because the average time needed to get rid of them ranges from 3 months to a year, so personally, I feel that landlords should run such checks before signing up a tenant.
Also, for future tenants who are also wanting to deal with some landlords who are tuning in right now, and if future landlords were to ask some of these details, it's completely fine, right?
I don't see what's wrong with it.
Okay.
It's your house.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the house belongs to you
Right.
as the landlord. you can be as fussy as you want to have a
Right.
tenant in.
Right.
Because remember, a bad tenant is going to ruin your house
Definitely.
and ruin your finances. Because why would you rent a property out? First and foremost,
Yep.
you rent a property out because for investment.
Yeah.
You want the
You're monetized.
yeah you,
completely.
you want the
Yeah.
monetary funds to come in order for you to settle your mortgage.
Right.
Right.
And if you don't have that coming, it's going to disrupt your cash flow. So and end of the day, that's your asset.
Right.
It's an asset that you have bought. So you want someone to take care of the asset. Yeah, so I don't see what's wrong with that.
Right. Okay.
But there are no guarantees. Having properly referenced, credit checked, and screened your prospective tenant, you have probably done as much as you can to have screened out any dodgy tenants. However, there are still no guarantees to be successful. Even a thorough vetting process occasionally can let a tenant from hell through. At this point, a landlord needs to look at remedial actions to get them out.
Right. So even if you get the bank slips, the bank payment, everything, it can still be there are no guarantees.
No
right,
guarantees
basically?
because it's you can't guarantee what's going to happen. That person may be fantastic at that point in time, then suddenly something happens.
Yeah.
Right.
He loses his job. Things could happen, anything could happen, and you can't guarantee
Right.
anything of that sort. But what you can do is take the case of an irate Italian landlord, whose story I came across a while back.
This Italian landlord.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let's tell a little bit about this Italian landlord just in a short bit. While we take a quick song break in the meantime.
Yeah.
I really would like to know what really happened to this Italian landlord.
Italian.
and how he
Do we have
sold
an
up.
Italian song to go with that?
No.
Maybe we should end it with an Italian.
Yeah.
song.
Probably.
Italiano.
Yeah.
It's Ariana Grande on track.
We'll go for a quick song break.
Yeah.
I realize your script's coming to the end of the day. Because conclusion's the next thing and you're over, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I made it quite short.
Nice. This is Traxx FM's morning show. Els and BK with you, and yes, it's that segment on Friday mornings. We're talking about Property On Traxx with Gunaprasath Bupalan. In today's topic, dealing with tenants from hell.
Tenants from hell. So, I mean, if you feel like, well, nobody's gonna really admit that you're a tenant from hell, right?
Yeah, and they just have to figure it out on their own, right?
Yeah, if you find yourself having these characteristics, well, I mean,
Yeah, or
it's time for a change.
if you are a landlord and you feel like you may have tenants who are coming like this, you might want to actually listen to this one. But
Yeah.
It's an Italian story.
Yeah. Let's take
Come
this
on, the
case of this irate Italian landlord. Yeah. His story I came across a while back. Yeah.
Okay.
He was so fed up with his freeloading tenant who refused to leave, although he had repeatedly failed to pay his rent.
Okay.
That the landlord one day decided to drive his tractor up the garden path and ram down the front door of the house.
Wow.
So he ran down his own house.
His own house. Right? Well, that made the tenant finally leave.
Right.
You know, but he still refused to pay up.
Mm.
You know, would a Malaysian landlord do that?
We'll never
Big
know.
question mark there, right? Now, to avoid getting into the same situation, wouldn't it be a blessing if there is a specialist company in the country which can identify terrible tenants, so that you can be spared painful and harrowing encounters?
The question is there?
Is there? No, unfortunately, I don't think so. You know,
Right.
such outfits do exist. All right, as a search through cyberspace will reveal.
Okay.
For example, there is a United Kingdom-based setup called Experian, which is essentially a credit information group, and another called Landlord Action, a landlord support company.
Okay.
Right, so basically these two companies are, you can track.
Yeah, they
tenants.
do they have a portfolio of all the tenants.
So all the records of all.
Everything is there.
Okay.
But this is in UK,
Yeah,
Okay.
right?
The good,
So
bad, the ugly, all of them are in there.
all them in
Okay,
there. You know, so
right.
if you want to be a tenant, you got to register with them.
Okay.
You know, and then they take over from there. So they do the filtering system, like how Job Street would do it for
Right,
jobs here.
okay.
So it's something similar to that
This is in the UK only.
in the UK.
Okay.
You know, however, Malaysian landlords and tenants law in many respects is still in its infancy. Right? If you have taken the time to do a comparative study, you would find that in the UK and US, there are several modern statutes now in place regulating the rights and responsibilities of landlords and tenants. We have none of these here.
Oh.
What we have in the General Contract Law contained in the Contracts Act 1950, and when it comes to evicting tenants, we have to contend with a couple of sanctions or sections in the Specific Relief Act.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to eviction, best is to hire a lawyer if the tenant refuses to leave.
Yeah.
Right, so that means in Malaysia it's all in the law only. There's no body kind of.
There's no body, and even the law is a bit flaky.
Right.
You know, there's loopholes.
Right.
You know,
But
so
the best option is to get a lawyer.
get a lawyer, because a lawyer will be able to surf through those
Right.
loopholes.
Okay.
You know, so get a lawyer. If you really need to get someone out, get a lawyer. Don't do what the Italian did.
Yeah. Don't run your own house down.
Don't
with
run
a
your own
tractor,
house.
okay?
That is your asset.
Wow.
You know, it's your asset. You're going to have to pay the repairs after which.
Right.
You know, so well, the best bet for landlords in Malaysia would be to do a thorough check on your tenant.
All right.
Do not take the first tenant that comes your way because you want the rental to compensate your mortgage at the back. Always remember that the damages bad tenants do to your house could also impact the selling price of your house later.
Of course.
Right? My advice to tenants out there: don't destroy what is not yours. You know, it is nice enough that someone trusts you with their precious asset by giving you a roof over your head and shelter for you and your family. Destroying their property because you are angry or disturbed is surely not the way forward. Remember, karma comes back to bite you in this lifetime.
Wow.
As you mentioned this earlier, sinks and toilet bowls filled with cement, walls broken by sledgehammers. You know, even little things like they say, don't even put up a little bit of a hook or a nail into the wall, and people have taken it to this level.
This level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo.
It's
So-
very sad. It's very sad to see
Yes.
things like this, but it happens so often.
Yeah.
So often.
So your best advice would be, if you need to get a tenant out of the house, get a lawyer, do it the legal way,
Yes.
and let's see how it goes from there.
Yep, correct.
So what about if you find, okay, let's say you are the owner of the property and I'm renting from you, and then you find some, okay, let's say the wallpapers, the paints come down, all that. Would you do anything? Like, would you ask the tenant for money?
No,
Because it's all on you, right?
it's all on the landlord.
Right.
You know, things like that, the landlord should take care of.
Mm.
Unless it's something that's destroyed by the tenant,
Right.
you know, and the tenant comes and asks the landlord to repair it.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's right. You know, but fixtures, stuff like that, you want to make sure your house is spotless.
Yes, yes.
Maybe the tenancy agreement should be a little bit more revised, or I think
It's in the tenancy agreement.
right.
This clause is in the tenancy agreement. It'll always be in the tenancy agreement. You know, so read through the tenancy agreement. It's similar to your SNP.
Okay.
When purchasing a property, I've said this a million times. Read your SNP over and over. Tenancy agreements is not as thick as the SNP, so it's easier for you to read.
Right.
But read through it.
Lesser fine print. It's
Yeah,
more direct. straight to
it's
the
bigger
point.
font,
Yeah.
I believe.
As well.
Right, there
So
you go.
before we go,
Yep.
I'd just like to mention as well, my was my 12th year anniversary a few days ago.
Ooh,
congratulations.
happy
Yeah.
12.
So to Rachel, who hopefully is listening in, happy anniversary, and to all the Malay listeners out there, Selamat Hari Raya.
Yep. Thank you very much, Guna. And yes, today I'm dealing with tenants from hell. I hope this actually helps you out if you're a landlord and you've got tenants who may be a little bit, difficult to handle. These are some of the methods you could probably try to overcome that little
Yeah.
problem you're
Like-
going through.
And
I don't
share
know,
share
yeah.
your experience on our
Yes,
Facebook
on
Facebook.
live. Share your experience, what you've gone through.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'll probably make a story out of it.
Right, thank you so much, Guna.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend, everyone.
We'll catch you next Friday.
Oh,
Okay, so I've got blackmail material